Hello, 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 and welcome once again to all of you beautiful people back at home. My name is Taco, and as promised, today we're going to be getting into the NA's part of the spring split for Season 4 SPL. Now, I know a lot of you guys are looking forward to all of these roster changes that we've seen coming out from the side of North America, so let's go ahead and take a look at all of the teams that are going to be competing for today and this season of Smite. As you can see, we've got a pretty interesting Game 1 coming out where we get a good look into Team Allegiance versus In Memory of Gabe, which I'm looking forward to in particular to see how Snoopy, Whalrus, and the rest of that crew are going to manage against Weekend, PolarBearMike, and the rest of the team. And overall, it should be a pretty exciting day considering, like I mentioned, the roster swaps, if anything, are going to really give a good insight as to whether or not teams are managing to find their synergy and, most importantly, find their wins in today. And so, without further ado, guys, I know you're really looking forward to watching these games unfold, and so am I. So here's Hindu and Toli to bring you more.
Hindu and Toli.
I'm here.
She forgot your name already. She's been here less than a week, and she's already forgetting your name, Toli.
They gotta learn
You
today.
gotta fix that.
She gonna learn today.
You gotta fix that. You better pull out the chest hair and the chain. Then she'll know. Hi everybody, welcome to the cast. Once again, we're going to be having, obviously, ALG versus Memory of Gabe. Memory of Gabe made it up through the relegations to get to this point, and ALG, same team that we saw at Worlds, except Stealth replaced with Metyankey in the mid lane. How are we going to feel about this transition, Toli?
I think it's interesting because obviously going from a hunter to a mid, it's a little bit different because it's not necessarily a plug and play. You have to have a lot of synergy with not only your support, but also your jungler as you're going to transition from going into the mid laning phase into the jungle camps, clearing it out with the 2v2 or the 3v3. So Metyankey already practicing a little bit with Weekend. We'll see how that translates in the first game of North America.
Let's go into picks and bans and see how this one breaks down then. ALG will be second pick, so they're going to get an option to have to ban the big boy stuff. Mainly Toth is what we're expecting more than likely here, Toli.
Sometimes some mid players will prefer the Toth, others won't. In Memory of Gabe, though, they do have Hurriwind that they have to worry about on Team Allegiance's side, so they're going to take the Toth away, but they also have to worry about the Giannis. Every single time Memory of Gabe has Hurriwind playing that Giannis, it's always detrimental to the enemy team.
Well, iMog are looking here at taking away shots at Weekend with the Thanatos and the Circuit ban as well. Looking to focus on the jungle, early game start. Circuit very good in the early game, the Blue Stone Pendant. Same could be said for Thanatos.
But the thing is about Weekend, his god pool is so diverse. He'll play these assassins, but he's also not afraid to pull out the utility warriors to set up his team. Time and time again, before when Stealth was on the team, he's been preferring to play those kinds of support junglers to be able to set up Stealth. But now that it's Metyankey, he's electing to go for the Ratatoskr, but it is also CycloneSpin in that solo lane, and that could be a flex pick.
It really could, and Izanami as well. It is a flex pick for Mog as well, because they do have Hurriwind in the mid lane that's run it before. Snoopy would be quite happy to run that in the Hunter position as well if they need be, but we have seen Izanami more dominantly on the side of iMog being run in that mid lane.
The most important thing about Izanami is her level 1 through 3. The clear is just too quick to handle, and that could give you a little bit of a spark heading into the jungle right off of clearing the wave. It doesn't matter if it's mid or in that dual lane.
Well, Awilix picked up early from Memory of Gabe here already. I was going to go over to Cynosure, one of the newest additions to the PT side of things. Obviously, he played a lot on console last year, now transferring to PC and being picked up by a team that, like iMog, with these players on this team, shows that he's got some ability here.
And the fact that he picked up the Awilix at this point before Team Allegiance really revealed their hand in terms of disrupting any initiation, because obviously Ratatoskr and Zeus, there's no tools in their kit that Awilix can pull. Only having the Sylvanus for the knockup as well as the Awilix Moonlight Charge is going to be able to set up herself. So it's a very confident pick coming out of Cynosure, and I really respect that coming out of him.
Well, they do have the Sylvanus as well to go alongside that now. That's going to help him out a little bit for setup potential of their Gravity Surge potentially as well, and also take it away from having Team Allegiance get that with a Zeus as well, which is so dominant and so strong in the push.
Absolutely. Cabrakan being locked in for Team Allegiance is going to have a little bit of control here with that ultimate. Sylvanus could be a very easy target. You catch the Sylvanus in that ultimate of Cabrakan. Zeus is going to follow up with a lot of damage from there. This could be another target where you're trying to shut down that Guardian before those defenses come online.
Well, Allegiance have done their homework there, banning that Vulcan, expecting maybe that Izanami is going to be in the mid lane for Hurriwind here. And last time we saw that, it was Vulcan being played by Snoopy in the duo lane. So they're aware Snoopy's got that. You know, most of these players in Allegiance have seen Snoopy back in the day when he used to play the Hunter role and pulled out some of these mages.
Season 0, Season 1, Snoopy pulled out the Vulcan. Back then, it was a little stronger where the range of the meatball was a little bit further. It also had a little mini stun, but either way, still a powerful force to be reckoned with. Deserves the respect ban Medusa for Allegiance, Ra for Memory of Gabe.
And that Medusa now obviously is going to have decent wave clear, got a little bit of buff before the start of season, at the start of season 4, and it's actually maybe made it a little bit more meta. Don't forget her lacerate as well. Also reduces healing by 50% if she connects. That could be detrimental to Sylvanus, Ra, and Vamana as we talk about sustain. And finally, it's Camazotz as the final pick.
Very aggressive lineup here out of Team Allegiance between this Cabrakan, Ratatoskr, and Camazotz. This front line doesn't necessarily have all the appeal in the world, but it just screams aggression. And knowing Weaken and CycloneSpin, this is probably a strategy that they've been practicing and develop, and they want to replicate from old AFK days, old Envy days, where they used to heavily lean on that soul lane. I wouldn't be surprised if that's the case for Team Allegiance today.
I think that's going to be the case with me. It looks like they're going back to CycloneSpin as the hard carry for this team to begin with. We'll see how that works out. But Memory of Gabe gone for the sustain option here. Obviously, we said Sylvanus and Ra, Vamana as well with that. So it's going to be like team fights where Memory of Gabe look to heal up afterwards if they can and re-aggress after that, just having superior staying power in these engagements.
I think there's a ticking time bomb for Team Allegiance to take advantage before the sustain really comes online for Memory of Gabe. So like we mentioned before, who's going to be able to get the momentum early on? Is it going to be Weaken and CycloneSpin, or is it going to be the heavy sustain comp coming out of Memory of Gabe? Also, this Vamana is going to have a little bit of difficulty because of the anti-healing from Medusa's Lacerate. It's going to be trouble once he goes into that ultimate form.
Yeah, very true indeed. And Memory of Gabe, I'm just looking at the laning phase of the duo lane here. More than likely, Sylvanus is an army together, and they're going to be up against Medusa Cabrakan is what I'm expecting here. Sylvanus is an army definitely going to outpush Medusa Cabrakan in the early game here, and then could look to invade. We saw some interesting starts over in Europe yesterday. I wonder if North America have anything spicy in terms of where they're going to begin the game.
There's a difference between these two duo lanes, like you mentioned. There's more clear on the side of Memory of Gabe, but there's also more burst damage coming out of Team Allegiance's duo lane. The Cabrakan himself will do enough damage to be able to really get Sylvanus low enough. Medusa can easily follow. Whether or not she connects on the ultimate, whether you're looking at her, the slow as well as the damage is going to be good enough to maybe find a kill onto the Sylvanus.
Yeah, very true indeed. That duo lane could be very interesting, especially depending where the mid laners start or if the supports actually start in lane. We have seen some supports rotate to mid if they've got a negative lane matchup at the beginning of the game and just left their Hunter 2v1 and try to get a more dominant force in mid to control their own
We've
jungle.
seen so many different starts for every single team out of Europe as well as in the relegations. So it's interesting to see North America, first game of the day, Memory of Gabe versus Allegiance, especially on the side of Allegiance. They always come up with something spicy with their start of how they want to really start off the pace of the game.
Well, let's get into the game then and see exactly where everybody's going to go. CycloneSpin is going to be on a potential hyper carry here. It's not really known as a hyper carry, but the amount of sustain and damage you can do in a team fight on this Camazotz, very strong. And look at that. He's gone for the Sunder start is probably the first thing to notice.
This is going to be pure aggression, leaning towards CycloneSpin with that Sunder. Weaken's definitely going to be camping that lane very heavily, wanting to shut down Whalrus because this is a god that he's very comfortable with. The Vamana is something that he's pulled out before in the group stage lands. He's been performing excellently with it, and honestly, this is a guy you have to shut down in the early game because you have a double assassin composition out of your solo jungle, and if you could shut down a warrior, he's not going to be tanky enough to really deal with you later on.
Definitely always interested in the support starts as well, because that's the one that's more flexible than most as the season progresses here. You can see Eonic on the Sylvanus has gone for just Watcher's Gift. No boots that you used to see, because instead he's decided to go for the Oracle wards, which is going to allow, the Oracle Chalice I should say, allows him to place 2 wards every single time, as well as multi-potions for that extra little bit of sustain that he's going to need, and he's also starting mid lane.
It's very important for him to start mid lane with that Chalice. He's going to be able to rotate, place a ward aggressively wherever he wants to. Off of clearing the mid wave first, that both mid and support is going to start the right side mid Harpies, but there could be a little bit of contention here coming out of Allegiance. They were able to out-clear in Memory of Gabe in the soul lane.
Well, but look at the start as well. We can start on the left-hand side, destroyed the red buff, took the red buff as well, and waited for Snoopy to push the lane in. Now he's chasing Snoopy down through the jungle. Snoopy's not getting any help right now. Mobility is definitely a factor in this one, both around the same movement speed, so he won't be able to catch up, but a lot of poke damage onto Snoopy there that's going to slow him down and allow Oceans a bit of free farm in the dual lane.
Something that Izanamis aren't normally used to is a jungler showing up to your lane right off the get-go. Snoopy forced to go into the dash, immediately a level 2 of playing it very safe, and with that wave being pushed in, it can't really contest the purple buff, has to stay in the lane, cannot lose that about 125 gold, so has to sacrifice the purple buff instead while the red is being taken.
PolarBearMike started on the right-hand side, and now after aggressing onto the blue, looks to fight Cynosure as well. Cyclone in a bit of trouble here, but at level 3, he should have all his abilities to be able to escape and play this relatively safe, but a rotation from the rest of IMOG is on the way.
Hurriwind and Ionic coming around the corner. The slow is good onto CycloneSpin. He has the Thunder still to be used. We're going to get pulled out of the tower. First blood for Mark Maloney.
Good rotations coming out from Imog there from the mid lane and the support as well to make sure they can get to this fight. I like the idea that Allegiance started off with here, trying to mix things up, put the jungle in a different spot than the speed buff, but if it doesn't go right across the whole map, you'll lose the speed buff of your own like it's just happening here.
You know, I thought we saw every single possible start imaginable for Season 4 thus far, but it just
There's
there's more.
There's more.
There's always more, especially on the side of both of these teams being very creative. Weekend is always looking to expand and be a little bit creative, and Memory of Gabe is such a solid, cohesive team that they've always been developing strategies from the get-go.
I will say Imog have done a strategy that we've seen before in terms of the start overall. The only difference is probably the build of Eonic in terms of Watcher's Gift and the multi-potions. However, what Allegiance did here is they planned to get all their lanes ahead, but it put Weekend behind. That was the only problem with doing this start. He was still level 1 after clearing red buff and didn't get any extra farm. The jungler is behind in this composition by doing it this way, but it does get his lanes a little bit stronger.
Yes, and this is something that Weekend is known for doing. He's always willing to put himself behind as long as he can get a specific player ahead. And in this position, they're trying to get Snoopy a little bit further behind Oceans. Obviously, Izanami has great lane clear presence, but he hasn't been having the opportunity to just effectively 1v1 Oceans at this point, so he has to play it very safe and very carefully.
So for the time being, the only goal difference is that first blood overall, and Imog did invade the speed buff as well, so that's the only difference in this game. The farming up process is still going to continue for now. Obviously, all the buffs in the jungle are on different spawn timers now. You can see red on the side of Allegiance is coming up soon, speed on the side of Imog is coming up soon, just based off where the junglers got theirs at the right time.
Memory of Gabe was able to take away the speed buff earlier on, but they did lose their purple and red, so it's a little bit of a trade-off that favored Allegiance. However, that first blood onto CycloneSpin is going to be very problematic. The knockup pulling outside the tower, going to dash into safety for a little bit, even getting level 5 to get into the ulti. What a turnaround!
Weekend did so much work in that fight, knowing that gank was coming. CycloneSpin barely survived, didn't have beads there, that's why the nice little play from Vamana and Cynosure came to account, but Hurriwind as well did clean up CycloneSpin with a snipe as he was trying to back to base as well. 2 for 1 now on the scoreboards. 1 for 1 trade in that little skirmish overall. Nice little plays from both teams.
What a well-positioned ward underneath the Fire Giant Pit, able to help Hurriwind find that kill onto CycloneSpin, trading 1 for 1. So now CycloneSpin still not able to really catch back up to Whalrus, still a level behind. And that was a great play coming out of Memory of Gabe, finding the knockup under the tower, pulling CycloneSpin out of the tower, but making sure CycloneSpin jumped on the wave, finding that one hit to get level 5, going up to the sky, buying him a little bit of time was so crucial to his survival.
Well, nobody's actually gone to Snoopy's dual lane on the side of Imog anyway, and that's allowed him to actually still get a lead in this lane up against Oceans as he's getting to free farm these buffs. We just saw him steal away the red buff from Allegiance as well, and he's going to get both these camps here, pick up another red buff, and get a little bit of that wave if he's lucky at the end, at the tail end, and continue to stay ahead of Oceans.
Surprising that he's able to be left alone like this because of all the pressure into the solo lane now. So we could see more aggression in the 1v1 side of things, especially with Snoopy having the red buff. It's going to be a nice little power spike to be able to clear the wave and look for a little bit of pressure onto Oceans, especially with that second ability of Medusa being on cooldown. That should scream for a little bit of a timing window for Snoopy.
Great from Allegiance. This is a real timing window because they know Imog were looking at the same, debating the speed buff. They've sent so many members over there. Now they're trying to rotate back into defend. Gold Fury at half health. Good ultimate coming out from Eonic to buy time. Weekend in the sky. Ducks down on 2. A lot of trouble for Eonic. He's going to fall.
The snipe from Hurriwind finding Weekend and another member. 3 members dead here from Allegiance. Cynosure finding that one. Eonic is the only member currently that sacrifices life, but it's definitely worth it, especially if they find a 4th.
So many. 4 dead, and the Gold Fury still stands as well, and they stole the speed buff on the right-hand side, and the only one left alive is CycloneSpin, and I don't think he could do a whole lot against this Gold Fury here. He has his ultimate available. It gives him free damage in the air that they can't do anything back against. He could look for a steal. How will Imog play this?
He's going to try. He's going to want to find maybe a kill onto Snoopy. He's going to get into the ultimate, but he can't really spot him out. Trying to find him. Uses the second ability, finds it. The damage over time will be credited with a kill, but Gold Fury goes in the way of Memory of Gabe.
Still not worth though for Allegiance. However, PolarBearMike is back and looking to charge down with CycloneSpin in support.
Nice juke.
Down through the middle lane comes Metyankey as well, but PolarBearMike just can't confirm that stun onto either target and continue the chase. That all worked out well. I think overall, Tully, I think it was Allegiance that were just a little bit slow on that Gold Fury call, or didn't have anyone anyone zoning was the real problem there.
They did not have the burst quite yet. It's only a level 7 Zeus. Had the Dynasty Plate Helmet, doesn't have Shoes of the Magi finish, doesn't have the penetration necessarily to get off a lot of damage. Had he waited until Shoes of the Magi had been complete, more magical power, more penetration, easier to really confirm, especially once the Zeus is level 9. The Detonate's going to be able to really chunk it down. On top of this, it was very risky for Allegiance to even start this. When you're dealing with Hurriwind, his snipe can not only confirm the goal here, but he found 2 kills with that one ability.
Very true. I think Allegiance misinterpreted where the whole of IMOG were there, because I think they thought they were all going to go to the speed buff, but they realized something was up when nobody from Allegiance was in that area. They got to the Gold Fury in time. Turns out in IMOG's favor for the time being. Cynosure doing good work in the jungle as is Hurriwind so far. Big staple, big important game for Cynosure to get off to, and his debut in the Pro League.
So far, so good for Memory of Gabe after that 4 for 2 in the end. Finding that Gold Fury, extending their lead slightly here, almost 2,500 at this point. Almost 8-minute mark now. We'll see how Allegiance is able to really bounce back from this, because Ratatoskr onto Weaken is not a guy that he really wants to be too far behind, especially against an Awilix coming out of Cynosure. Not too much pressure out of the solo lane any longer, though.
That's true. I was going to say as well, I mean, we expected to see Weaken camp this solo lane a lot and have support from Cyclones, support CycloneSpin from the get-go, but it looks like IMOG recognized that could be a plan coming out from Allegiance here. So instead they sent Cynosure over there, and he's doing the same thing here for Whalrus, helping him to just consistently keep Cyclone pinned back.
I think the original game plan was to have Weaken kind of sit in Snoopy's lane for a little bit longer, and then as soon as Weaken rotated over to the right-hand side, Memory of Gabe knew exactly what Weaken's game plan was, and they found the counter rotation instantly, and I feel like that's kind of deterring his game plan from what he really wants to do, and as a result, it's all Memory of Gabe controlling the right side of the jungle.
Cyclone in a bit of trouble here on this right-hand side, forced to ult defensively. Speed buff still alive for now, but 2 members of Allegiance have already started it up and will secure it, but Eonic going to get a very early ult off there as well, looking to try and set up something onto Metyankey, but Whalrus and the team just slightly out of position for that to happen. Allegiance defend their speed.
Weaken still grabbing his speed buff, and I like the fact that CycloneSpin uses ultimate during the Vamana dash. He did not want to get pulled by Cynosure, and then recognizing the fact that he was half health, there wasn't going to be much survivability from that point in time. Great use of mechanics by CycloneSpin.
Got to keep an eye on Snoopy though, because he is getting a lot of free farm. I said this before, that IMOG are not rotating to this dual lane at all. Oceans is doing a good job of trying to keep pace. His build's going to take a little bit longer to come online here, as he has gone for the Transcendence on this Medusa. It's a big power spike, totally, but it does take a warm-up.
Absolutely. 50 stacks is going to take a little bit of time. You get 6 stacks per wave. It's going to take a couple of minutes there with 30 seconds per wave, but either way, he's setting himself up for the team fights in the mid-game. So this could be a position where Memory of Gabe with Snoopy at level 12, he could back, look for that second relic, and then continue to put pressure onto this dual lane while Oceans is still level 10 without that second relic.
PolarBearMike round of the left-hand harpies here. They have spawned, but he's looking around the corner to try and catch someone. Lazy back in the moment is Eonic, and he might get pinched in the mid lane here. Bit of pressure onto him, but Cynosure coming around the corner, and Hurriwind wasn't in base yet. The snipe is beautiful, and it's poor old PolarBearMike that dies instead. Great pull from Eonic. Cancelled out by the beads of Metyankey, but here comes Whalrus.
Whalrus is here, but Weaken is here to zone for a little bit longer. The rotation from Oceans finds Whalrus. Snoopy now making the rotation. Metyankey in a little bit of trouble. Snoopy having to retreat under the safety of his teammates. CycloneSpin doing a lot of damage going into the sky. He wants blood.
He does want blood, but they do get back to the safety of the tower. Obviously, the healing from Hurriwind did help them out with a little bit of bonus protections there as well. But IMOG kind of pinned back here under the tower, waiting for some more sustain, as Allegiance can head into the jungle, look for buffs, or even the Portal Demon.
Ooh, this is a risky play coming out of Allegiance. It's only Weaken and CycloneSpin starting it up. It's almost at half health, but by the time the rotation from Cynosure and Snoopy here, it has to be reset, and this could give a little bit of an opportunity for Memory of Gabe if they really wanted to start up that Portal Demon. Instead, with that speed buff up there, you have to always be on rotations with your own speed buff.
Yeah, I think Allegiance there missed a bit of an opportunity. I don't know whether they realized the speed and blue were up on IMOG's side. If they did, I think they would have taken that one instead of that Portal Demon. It would have easier secured some buffs, a little bit quicker to take and get away from the danger.
Better safe than sorry, for sure. Allegiance could have had that opportunity, instead electing to go for more of a home run kind of play. Would have given a little bit of gold there, 150 per player off of that Portal Demon, which is a nice little spike considering the fact that they're still down about 2,500, almost 3,000 gold heading into the 12-minute mark. At least they're not letting this bleed from Memory of Gabe just really snowball and skyrocket out out of control.
Yeah, I agree with that. I just think the experience difference between the two is also always something to look at to see who's got the level leads overall. And Snoopy is the one that's standing out to me already in terms of that. I've said it a couple of times already, but the level lead on someone like Izanami can really come into play. Ocean's, like I said, keeping track, but here's a bit of an engagement. Pressure onto Eonic. Weaken in the backside, though, going to keep 4 members of IMOG busy for now. But his ultimate was used there, as was PolarBearMike's. That's a net win for IMOG right now.
Especially with the sustain out of Memory of Gabe between the Ra and the Sylvanus. This is what they want. They're going to bait your cooldowns. They're going to use the sustain just to wait it out a little bit longer, and then they're going to go again, just like they're doing here.
Well, the Oracles are spawning at the same time. Mike is watching this happen, as is Metyankey. Metyankey has the Zeus ultimate available, still only level 11 though, so no secondary relic coming into play for most of these players in this little Gold Fury attempt.
Whalrus still zoning out. He's not going to have the ultimates on PolarBearMike for the cage, but nice little pull, forcing out the beats out of Ocean. So a little reset because CycloneSpin's on the back, basically being a distraction.
Whalrus got left alone and everybody was turning their attention to Cyclone. The attention distraction from Cyclone was perfect, and it allowed them to pick up a free kill onto Whalrus, who was just left in the big baby form to be chunked down.
He didn't have the winged blade. He doesn't have the health quite yet to be able to be tanky to resiliently defend himself. But now Hurriwind looking for the snipe steal, but the reset is on.
Looking for the fight, and Metyankey's got a good ult moment there, as does Eonic. The snipe from Hurriwind takes out 2 again, and now PolarBearMike's about to fall on top of that. Cyclone looking to clean up Hurriwind in response though, as Metyankey is dueling with Cynosure on the other side, but Metyankey's losing that trade big. Cyclone's just trying to pick up the pieces, make these trades sort of even, and try and get him back to safety. But Snoopy and Eonic, they're going to clean this up, and it's a deicide, the way of IMOG, and a Gold Fury as a result.
5 for 3 after Whalrus has respawned. Second Gold Fury definitely going in the way of Memory of Gabe after this. It's going to extend their lead to beyond the 4,500 gold mark. Great play by both Snoopy and Hurriwind, because Snoopy hit a double ultimate, and then that set up with the silence from that ultimate, it's basically set up Hurriwind for his own double snipe for the second time in a row this game.
It did show the combination that IMOG really have here. The Sylvanus ult into the silence coming out from Snoopy into the raw snipe, because when they're in the air, you can position the raw snipe and the dark portal underneath them, pick up some easy kills. And the run point, that turned the fight a lot, because those two did not make an impact in that engagement at all.
This is going to also allow Memory of Gabe to really continue the farm and the pressure. Looking at Snoopy's level, 15 versus Ocean's 12, and this is going to be problematic. When a hunter gets to the late game before your hunter does, this is going to be more team fights, so you have to worry about it. Now your soul laners aren't as tanky as they're really prepared for. Whenever the hunter is higher level than your soul laner, you know something's wrong.
Well, this is to do with previous seasons as well, because Season 3, Season 2, it used to be about a level a minute is what you were looking for on the scoreboards to show that you're keeping pace with how fast you can really farm. If you get above a level in a minute, you're having a good time. Snoopy's about a level and a half ahead of the minute curve right now, as we're at 14 minutes, and he's still farming up right now. He keeps this pace, we may see more teams start to transition to leaving them alone. Steal does not happen, it goes the way of IMOG, but now there's a bit of trouble here. But Cynosure's already taken CycloneSpin out of the engagement. Great walls coming down from PolarBearMike, but Weaken's bursted down instead. Yankee returns the favor to Hurriwind though, and you can see Whalrus just standing on the front line there, being a bodyguard, going, hit me! Just to give his team a moment to buy time to get out 2 for 1, and the Dark Portal going to IMOG. This is all good stuff for the newcomers to the SPL.
Another small victory for IMOG. Being able to secure that objective is just going to snowball their lead a little bit further. There's not much really for Allegiance to take advantage of the fact. Oh, a nice little blink for
Cynosure.
Not really wanted to die there with Eonic right behind him, as well as Snoopy. Cynosure playing it really safe. He finds the beads, and that's going to be the opportunity for Eonic now to go in and find the root pull ultimate combination.
All right, on the right hand side, Whalrus under a bit of pressure here, but Mike's not going to get there in time. Just go back to that little engagement you saw from Cynosure in the mid lane. He traded his blink for the beads of Metyankey. You can see the cooldown of those 2 relics there, just showing that it's definitely a small win for IMOG overall, just because extra 30 odd seconds for that ability to be up again, for the blink to be up and the beads still to be down.
It's all about the timing windows out of Smite. You trade a shorter cooldown for a much longer one. Very safe, calculated play coming out of Cynosure. This is something that we expect to see out of him, despite him playing in the console scene in the last couple of splits. He's also been playing a lot of high competitive games in ranked before in the PC days, and now the fact that he's combined with Whalrus, Hurriwind, Eonic, and Snoopy, this has been really showing off what he's capable of in the SPL.
It's been a stable climb for IMOG in this first game of the SPL in North America so far. They've kept Allegiance pinned back pretty much from the start overall. They was a first blood trade trade-off that was interesting, but now they're looking for picks in the mid lane, looking to pressure down the tower slowly but surely. And we might start to see this sustain group start to happen now they have established a good lead.
That's what they have to do. This is the timing window that we were talking about during picks and bans. Eonic's level 11, Hurriwind's level 14. They have a strong sustain, making sure that this mid tower has no possibility of staying up.
Well, Chainline and Detonate down, so Imog might look to go aggressive. Instead, his PolarBearMike is going to get a good ult off Eonic. Eonic in a bit of trouble here, knocked him in the sky after an ult in response. Don't hold down that hit Mike, but Metyankey will clean up Eonic. It's a 1-for-0 exchange so far. A lot of ultimates used, though, in that engagement.
That Zeus ultimate was so devastating for Gabe. They couldn't really save Eonic. With the ultimate from Cabrakan creating that buffer zone, everybody had to play so far back. And even with the sustain between Hurriwind and Eonic, as well as the meditation from Eonic, it wasn't really enough to keep him up at this point. Still not as tanky as he would like. He does have Reinforced Greaves, the Sovereignty, and the Hardwood Amulet, but still only sitting at level 11.
Do see a second Sunder coming online now as well. We saw at the beginning of the game, CycloneSpin started off with that Sunder, but now as well, Whalrus has picked up one in response too. Although, I've not actually seen Cyclone really use that yet in an engagement. I've not seen it be, you know, impactful, maybe once.
Not quite yet, but on the side of Whalrus, this is a nice pickup for him because the fact that PolarBearMike during the Tremors is going to be a stationary target, making it very easy to find that guaranteed Sunder, and then every single cooldown, every line ability cooldown between Hurriwind, Snoopy should be able to really blow up PolarBearMike.
Goldfury is about to spawn in 30 seconds. Oh, hurry. Oh, hurry.
That's the worst feeling.
Don't talk about that. Nobody saw it. Nobody saw it. Shh, shh, shh. Goldfury, though, about to spawn in about 25 seconds time still. So keep an eye on that one, especially if this tier 1 tower goes down here. Imog do have an opportunity for themselves to try and pressure the Goldfury on top of it.
They already found the 2 Goldfuries earlier on. They know the timing of it, so they should be able to really look for some advantages. Whalrus is going to continue to out-rotate CycloneSpin here. He's going to reset the buff timers here on his mini-map, as well as looking for the proxy wave, but he's not going to look to take it. That would have been a good timing window for him to get that farm between the tier 1, tier 2, and then look for the rotation underneath as the Goldfury has respawned.
Now with that Goldfury spawn as well, obviously we saw Hurriwind accidentally use his beads there. It may put Imog on the back foot in one respect, because they would like him to have that both relics available for this Goldfury contest, but at the same time he was very lucky that Allegiance did not have a ward there or vision of those beads being used. So to Allegiance's state of mind, his beads are still available.
Zeus is going to be very careful here about wanting to get engaged on, but Memory of Gabe starting up the Goldfury. Snoopy's going to tank it. It's already taken about half health. Has to really reset with Ocean's PolarBearMike and Metyankey right around the corner. Eonic looking for some sort of engagement around the corner. Could look for a pull, but still just going to start up the Goldfury. Play it really slow as Snoopy's clears out the left wave.
A very, very important Goldfury for Allegiance this one. They can't give this one away, otherwise the gold lead will really stretch to almost insurmountable situation. Goldfury now down to half. A lot of damage from Snoopy, who's at max range here. Reset his force by Metyankey just throwing out the shield there for a moment, and Weaken's in the sky. Not sure if they recognize that, but Weaken's still up. The Goldfury's been pulled by Allegiance. He's going to hit 2, but the snipe from Hurriwind goes through. Allegiance get the Goldfury. Metyankey's ultimate is good. Eonic's follow-up is there as well, and Mike's in trouble off the back of this fight.
Taking a lot of damage. He's going to be the first victim. Metyankey's getting chased down. CycloneSpin in the back, trying to find Hurriwind yet again. Misses 2 out of the 3. He's retreating under the safety of his own team. Meanwhile, Whalrus and Snoopy find Metyankey in the other side of the backline. So despite losing the 3rd Goldfury of the game, Metyankey and PolarBearMike is going to take a spill, which is going to allow the sustained composition out of Memory of Gabe to push down this mid lane. Should be able to find tier 2.
Really good work actually from Cynosure and Eonic in that fight to protect Hurriwind to the best of their ability as well. Continuing to protect the backline as 2 more were aggressing. Very important to keep you topped up and allow the sustain from Raw to still make an impact to get them a tier 2 and to back the gold. We're still over 5,000 gold in the lead for Imog now.
Tier 2 tower just absolutely melted, and now Memory of Gabe, they're not done yet. They're going straight for this portal demon's going to get absolutely melted. The Raw ultimate even still available. Very short cooldown for that ability. Securing that objective, still skyrocketing their lead to 6,000 gold. Now they lost their tier 1 tower on the right hand side, but definitely worth it in the end, making sure they got that tier 2 tower and they got the portal demon. Now talking about that last engagement real quick, the way Memory of Gabe started it up was actually well calculated because they had Snoopy go on the left-hand side of the wave, cleared the wave first, and then start up the Gold Fury. Now, the problem was after Oceans made that rotation and then looked to clear the wave, go back to the Gold Fury, the fact that Weaken went up into the sky forced a reset, but the damage has been done on the Gold Fury, which is what allowed Allegiance to pick it up and clean it up for their first one of the game.
It was a good cleanup, and now they're going to tier 1 on the right-hand side thanks to minion push. They're not going to look at the Fire Giant now. They recognize that over on the left-hand side, Oceans is still farming away, so they have man advantage. Eonic gets a 3-man ultimate off there after the blink. PolarBearMike's the focal point target. Very low on health, but he's still alive for the time being. Whalrus may be able to clean that up. Weaken, meanwhile, dumped onto 4, but left alone as they were all focused on dealing with Whalrus, chasing down kills. The tier 2 tower falls as well. And once again, IMOG 2 for 0, I should say.
That sustain is insane. Look at that. They're all topped off. They just dove a tier 2 tower, finding 2 kills for free, essentially. And now it's all up to CycloneSpin, Metyankey, and Oceans to defend this Fire Giant attempt from Memory of Gabe.
Couple less ultimates available this time, though, for IMOG to use in this fight. Hurriwind has the snipe to secure this Fire Giant if he needs it.
That's
Oceans
all they need.
being looked at by Whalrus, falls back as CycloneSpin meets Cynosure for a second. Fire Giant's getting very low. Hovering in the sky is Cyclone, looking to steal this one away. Fire Giant goes the way of IMOG, and Cyclone will fall. Whalrus, meanwhile, body blocks to high heaven and sustains back up.
22 minutes into the game, Memory of Gabe has been controlling so many objectives, only losing 1 Gold Fury, finding all the portal demons, finding the first Fire Giant of the game, and now they have 9,000 gold and experience respectively, so they're looking to really close this game out, especially once they go back to buy, spend that gold in hand, and then look for the remaining towers on the left-hand side, making the Titan a little more vulnerable.
There was definitely a lot of questions coming into this cast totally about IMOG and into the season, about how well they will perform at the higher levels now. We saw them in relegations, they look really solid, but a lot of people in the community basically sat down and went, well, these aren't top tier opposition. Allegiance can be classed as one of the top tier opposition. They did go to the World Championships, and they're holding their own here, IMOG, and if not, giving us even better than they get in.
Team Allegiance is definitely a top tier team, but they're a little bit wild and unpredictable, so you never really know which Allegiance you're going to get at any given day. They have the potential to be one of the best teams in the world, and then other times, if their strategies and early aggression doesn't really work out, then we see games like this, where Weaken's 3 levels behind, Oceans is 3 levels behind, and they can't really get the ball rolling because the strategy of Memory of Gabe, I don't even really necessarily see a weakness or an empty hole that Allegiance could have exploited once the team fights occurred.
Well, right now you can see them sieging down for the final tier 2 tower on the map. Keep an eye on the Eonic's consumable tab there. You can see he's got the Frenzy Ritual available for himself. It's going to boost his whole team's damage by an additional 25%. That's going to be very impactful. One of the first rituals we've seen in North America so far. But for now, it looks like IMOG just want to kind of hang around, push the lanes in first of all, before they start trying to siege up for the Phoenixes, especially with the Fire Giant still under their belt for a little bit longer.
2 more minutes with that Fire Giant. Gold Fury responding in about 30 seconds. This wouldn't be a bad opportunity to strip away some buffs, look for the Gold Fury, spend more additional gold in hand, look for those 5th items to be complete. Almost a 6th item on the side of Snoopy, sitting at level 20, trying to finish off more than likely that Deathbringer. So that's going to be a huge power spike if that's what Memory of Gabe is waiting for.
Bit of patience coming out from IMOG, really. Whalrus going to hang in the mid lane, though, just to create attention for Allegiance to focus on. Need to watch his positioning, though, because if he steps too far forward, they can burst down that big baby. But now the lane on the left is pushing him once more. IMOG setting up again. Keep an eye on the blink that's available for Eonic to go in with. He's been the initiator a majority of the time.
Whalrus is now going to rejoin the group. Weakens in the sky, looking for a target. Going to land onto Cynosure, forcing out the bees, and with the damage from Ocean's ultimate, that's going to find a kill.
Good play. Now Whalrus is in trouble as well. He's going to fall down. Oceans is really swinging to high heaven on top of this. Now 2 kills already the way of Allegiance, and it's actually IMOG on the run. Cyclone trying to close the gap with the ultimate more than anything else, trying to slow them down. Has to be respectful of the damage he took there, but PolarBearMike will continue to chase them out. It allows Weaken to push mid lane here, and the rest of Allegiance are going to continue the chase.
PBM still has his ultimate. He's going to trap in Eonic, but Snoopy should be able to break him out in time for the rest of his team. Eonic's going to regroup with a sustain a little bit. Chain Lightning, though, is going to catch Snoopy onto 2 stacks. Should still be fine, and this gives a little bit of a breathing window for Allegiance now. They managed to defend their left side Phoenix. They're going to find their second Gold Fury of the game, and that's going to cut the lead to less than 9,000.
It's an important Gold Fury there. It's an important defense on the left-hand side. IMOG knew what was going on. They saw we can go up. They disengaged, but they didn't Cynosure didn't recognize the danger he was in, and he got picked off for absolutely free. Turned it into a 4v5.
It made sense as to why Whalrus was between the middle Phoenix and the left Phoenix, but for Cynosure to be there, that was a little questionable. He needed to just stay in the backline and wait for the engage from Weekend to happen before he aggressed too far forward. That ultimate, the global pressure that Weekend provides, finding multi-knockups, is not something you want to be a part of.
Not a game-changing event with what happened there, but it was a very good defense from Allegiance. Imog still in control. You saw the Portal Demon just go the way of Imog as well, as Snoopy picks that one up. So still in a comfortable position here, Imog. Allegiance just have to do this a couple more times, maybe around the Fire Giant defense now, to try and make this continue on and get their way back into this game.
Looking for the late game builds here. Snoopy finishing off his Deathbringer, still working on that 6th item now is going to be Oceans. Still sitting on Death Toll once he sells that. It's going to be probably working for Deathbringer of his own. He does have the Rage complete already, so this is the late game form out of these Hunters. You cannot position yourself too far forward where they're just going to get free in-hands on you.
Now I'm looking at Metyankey's build as well. Obviously, we've not really talked much about builds so far because the action's been pretty packed with objective control and focus rotations like Weekend is doing now at this tier 1 tower. But Spectral Armor on the side of Metyankey here was one of his core items early on for extra physical defense. We've seen tanky versions of Zeus's before that's just going to absorb the damage and try and give it back. But he is lacking a bit of damage now because like, even though the player damage says otherwise, because he's doing a lot in these engagements, it's still not as much of an impact as we may have liked.
But lacking a player is Team Allegiance as Memory of Gabe gets a 5-on-4 on this Fire Giant, even using that Frenzied Ritual from Eonic earlier on, bursting that down so quickly, barely able to catch the tail end of that one. So having to defend against another Fire Giant squad out of Memory of Gabe with the sustain that they already have, they're going to get even more with this late game buff.
Keep an eye on CycloneSpin though, and the Ritual tab again. You can see he's got a Frenzied Ritual for the side of Allegiance this time as well. The Power Spike will help out his team on defense again, and if Imog make the same mistake they did last time, Allegiance could turn it on his head and then punish them further than what they did last time with just a Golpier in response.
It has to work out because CycloneSpin only has 4 completed items. That's a huge investment to try to defend this Phoenix. Not going to be as tanky or as damaging as he wants, but
in the mid lane, coming to the backside, looking at Cynosure and Snoopy again. Forces Imog to retreat as Whalrus on the forefront is fine, but Metyankey's ultimate did not do enough damage to bring down Imog. The sustain of the Fire Giant as well as the sustain of the gods is going to heal them all back to full.
That's all Gabe needed to do. Bait out those 2 ultimates like they did earlier on in the game and then heal up and re-engage. Now they have nothing to really worry about. Whalrus is going to go into the ultimate, going to go make sure he zones out. Ritual has been popped by CycloneSpin. Snoopy take a lot of damage.
But a good ult from Eonic will get him out of danger. Cyclone in the sky looking to get away as Weekend goes in trying to still kill Snoopy, but he's turned around and his head is Imog collapse onto the rats, bring him down, and on top of bringing him down, they'll get the Phoenix as well.
They found the right side. They're not feeling too confident quite yet to go for the end. They want to make the Titan as vulnerable as possible. It's still a 5-on-4. They have Fire Giant for another 2 minutes. They found their second Phoenix. This has to be do or die here for Allegiance. They cannot allow this third Phoenix to fall uncontested.
But with only 4 players to defend, it's going to be very tricky for them to stop Imog taking the final Phoenix and making this a very, very difficult game to come back into now. It's very difficult to tell you that any team ever comes back from all 3 Phoenixes down. Very rare.
The percentages is probably less than 2%. I want to give a rough estimate to. I'll give a Gandhi stat of about 1.62% chance that a team will come back if all 3 Phoenixes are down.
I actually think that 1.62% is the correct amount as well. You're not wrong. Gandhi will confirm that is correct. 1.62% if all 3 Phoenixes are down. 20-11 now, and Imog looking to take game 1. The first game of the North American Spring Split this year in Season 4.
And this is a very strong way to start off this 2-game set for Memory of Gabe. They showed, both teams kind of showed their hand now as to what they really want to do. Obviously, Allegiance is very unpredictable of what they want to do, whereas Memory of Gabe is more stable, more consistent with their strategies. Whalrus getting their comfort pick. All comfort picks across the board, I would say, for Memory of Gabe.
Just want to call out Hurriwind here, as the rest of his team has gone for the group buffs of the Frenzied Ritual for each other. Hurriwind's like, no, boys, you can buff me. I'm a buff myself with my Potion of Might and make sure I do more damage. So
that's a lot of Frenzied Rituals.
Shouts to Hurriwind for not helping him out.
That's a lot of Frenzied Rituals coming out of Memory of Gabe. They're going to make sure that if one person, for whatever, dies, they're going to be able to find the second one, or they can basically use it for the whole team fight, as long as they coordinate and call out the timers of it.
You've got boost power. That's what's going to be available for IMOG right now. Blink currently available for Eonic. No meditation available for another second, but if we're looking for the right moment, basically just waiting for the minions to pour in from left-hand side and mid as well. Right-hand side's been stalled a little bit, but there we go. 3 as well as a snipe. Only CycloneSpin taking a majority of the damage, but PolarBearMike's down on the front side. Falling back at IMOG for a second here, just waiting for the minions to come in. Now it's a 4v5.
And this should be game with the Ocean's ultimate is going to force out the Aegis out of Hurriwind, dive in the backline, CycloneSpin, but it's not going to matter. Memory of Gabe finding game number 1 of this 2-game set. What a clean performance out of Memory of Gabe.
It was pretty solid from the outset. I liked Allegiance's starting strategy there, where we sent weaken to the duo side and took red buff. I thought that was an interesting start. I don't think it was necessarily bad on that start, but in the end it didn't work out because they still lost engagement across the map.
It just felt to me that that Allegiance wanted to kind of lean onto CycloneSpin with the double assassins between the Ratatoskr and the Camazotz, but that really necessarily wasn't the case because they were too worried about Snoopy on this Izanami. The pressure that Weekend had in the beginning of the game was good, but it wasn't really enough to get Oceans that far ahead, and in fact it was Snoopy that was consistently 3 levels ahead once the mid game got around.
So if we